Now that we've established the notion that learning is all about change, let's focus on what happens from social and biological perspectives when an opportunity for learning is triggered. Illaris will again provide the terminology to aid in our understanding, since in his research, he synthesized the concepts of key seminal thinkers in the field. In fact, you'll find a resource in your materials that identifies who these scholars are. Let's begin with the processes of interaction and acquisition, both of which are required for learning to occur. First, interaction is the ongoing relationship between individuals and their environments, a social phenomenon that occurs continuously during waking hours. However, some level of awareness on the part of the individual experiencing interaction is necessary. For example, a person walking next to a river while not paying any particular attention to the surrounding environment suddenly becomes aware of a man standing in the river, casting with a fly fishing rod. Next, the acquisition process provides the mechanism for an interaction to become a learning experience. Acquisition is a biologically based process that occurs when humans make use of their brains and central nervous systems in response to incoming impulses or stimuli. The extent of individual response may trigger learning across a continuum, from trivial to significant, depending on interest or need. To return to our analogy, the walker may mentally acknowledge the fishing scenario and continue to stroll on, get involved in a fly fishing discussion and demonstration, or even discover that this experience triggers a need for deeper learning that ultimately transforms our walker into an angler. So what else happens during the interaction and acquisition processes? Illaris maintains that three learning dimensions, content, incentive, and environment, must also come into play. Two of the three, content and incentive, are individual level dimensions that grounds the acquisition process, while the environment dimension supports the social interaction process. First, the content dimension is the something, the subject matter taken in by a potential learner, the understanding, knowledge, attitudes, and or skills learned as a result of an experience. Second, the incentive dimension, or a potential learner's motivation, must be present along with the content in order to kick off the learning process. Back to our example, fly fishing is a sport with specialized content which can be acquired at some level of proficiency if a learner has the desire, interest, or need to do so. Finally, content and incentive cannot fully facilitate learning alone. We come back to the need for an environment within which the learning occurs, the third dimension. First, in the closed social environment, the learner interacts with human or material resources within which the interaction occurs, such as being outside, the rod, or the instructor. Second, and from a broader perspective, societal messaging may provide a more universal rationale for the interaction. For example, consider the socially constructed notions that fly fishing is a chance to be alone with nature, that participating in this sport has been shown to reduce stress.